This is Remix Report with your hosts, DJ JD and DJ J Spring.
Today's video brought to you by YourDJSkins.com. Pimp your gear today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Remix Report. It's another weekend recap. I'm DJ JD.
I'm DJ J Spring, and today we're joined by a special guest. We have Farell joining us today. What's going on, dude? Now you're you're joining us from Jersey right now?
Yeah,
cool.
South Jersey.
All right, cool. I guess we usually start this out talking about what we did over the weekend. So why don't you?
Sure, I'll start it off. Friday night was our kickoff party at Shrine for our new night called Fuck It, It's Friday.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I wasn't there. I was actually doing a wedding on Friday night, rocking out with some friends of mine. And that was definitely a lot of fun, and I'm sure you're going to talk about Friday night here in a second. Saturday night, I was up in Providence at Whiskey Republic, and it's more like almost like Scorpion Bar in a way, because it's definitely more rock-oriented. There's a band that plays from like 9:30 till pretty much 11:30. They have like a 15-minute break in between where I do a little set, but so they have this band playing, and then I go on, and it's just like a lot of fun. You can kind of just play whatever and go any direction you want. So I had a lot of fun doing that. A little different than the usual. So
that's like almost true open format.
Very true open format. Yeah. Okay. I played the Macarena. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, you know.
Wow. I was at Shrine opening up for Clinton Sparks, who we had on for the kickoff that JD was talking about, and that was actually. It was interesting because we thought that Clinton used CDJs, or at least that he knew how to use them. We had those set up, and the first thing he said when he got there was, "Do these work the same as turntables?" And
the funny thing is, I had emailed his management earlier in the week asking, because we already had the CDJs set up, and I didn't necessarily want to have to set up the turntables and set up CDJs again for our DJ on Saturday night. So I asked if he was used to using them and everything, and they emailed them and got back to me, said, yeah, it's totally cool. He's good with CDJs.
So it was one thing that makes me more nervous than anything DJing wise is the switch over from having someone else go on after you. And I'm always nervous when there's a packed club and I'm pulling plugs from my mixer. It always makes me very nervous. And luckily I tried it out before, because when we set up the CDJs, we have it you don't have to use the discs. I don't know how you describe that.
It's Serato HID mode. It's Serato, like MIDI map mode, basically.
So I basically pulled the CDJ plug from my laptop in the middle of the night, and luckily nothing. Everything went okay. But the night ended up being awesome, because we told you guys plenty of times that Fridays at the casino aren't as busy as Saturdays, and that's why we're making an effort to kind of switch things up on Friday, see what we can do. And this Friday was actually really good, so it was a good kickoff for Fuck It, It's Friday.
Shout out to Ryan at Inside Events for helping us out. I mean, definitely his push behind the night has been a huge help, and definitely looking forward to this Friday where I'll be back. So,
and one thing Ryan was able to do in terms of promotion was to get everybody from the club to kind of help on Facebook, and I think that makes a huge difference. And this was the first time we saw really all the employees actually embrace it and kind of promoting it, and it definitely helped a lot.
Because I mean, any club night is really a group effort as far as getting people out to the club, and it is good to see everybody behind it. So I know you said you don't really DJ anymore. You did in a previous life, but
yeah.
What did you work on over the weekend? Any big tracks?
Yeah, I'm actually working on Clinton Sparks' Watch You remix. I'm working on Silver Medallion's Stay Young. Also remixed a song for an indie artist named KGB. She had a song called Vecino Del Mar that came out on Kinetics and One Love's new album on iTunes. So because it became such a success, she's having like a remix EP of like 10 different remixes of it. I'm also obviously promoting my Krayshawn track remix and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Which we're gonna post a link to the video right below this of you actually making that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I know you put quite a bit of work into the track, and you kind of take us through the whole thing. Was that your first tutorial video?
Yeah. It's funny because I get asked a lot, what goes into a remix. And it's funny because I've been producing for years, but you can only produce so much for indie artists and up and comers and local artists before you really need to start getting recognition. And it's kind of like you need to really know people in order to get recognition that way. So I started, this remix kind of in-depth thing to show you what actually goes into it, and how I lay out the production for it, as opposed to a lot of people just think with mashups you throw songs together and that's it. But there's a lot more to it, and the way I do it. So.
Yeah, video is really well done. I definitely liked a lot of the editing as far as like the video production quality and stuff, like zooming in on the pads and all that kind of stuff when you're drumming. Definitely, definitely cool stuff.
I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but I shot it all with my iPhone, so.
Really?
That's awesome. Even better.
So how did you kind of take the steps in progress in terms of your career? You said obviously you wanted to kind of move up from just doing the indie artists, and now you're doing stuff for labels and stuff. What kind of steps did you take to get to where you are right now?
Well, honestly, I mean, I owe a lot of the help to DJ Beat Street. I met him originally a couple years ago, and he's one of the DJs for Wired 96.5 in Philly. So he just gradually started getting my remixes out to different ears that would have never found me otherwise. He has a lot of connects in the industry, so I passed him his way. He started putting them on the radio during his mix shows, and people started taking notice. Next thing you know, people wanted to try me out to see what I had in terms of making more crossover style pop remixes for stuff that just wasn't working on the radio well. Next thing I knew, I made a Gucci Gucci remix for Kreayshawn back May in 2011 that ended up getting, as you saw in my video, 8-9 million views now. And that was like overnight. So, people really tuned in at that point. And then it was kind of like, oh, well, he can make stuff that works. So, yeah.
What do you think launched that video to such a viral popularity like it did?
It's funny because I went back and forth with DJ Two Stacks about it, and he originally made the song. It was dubby sounding with the wobbles and stuff in it. And people were trying to play it on the radio, and B Street was cluing me in like, yo, Wired wants to play this, but I don't know if they're going to play this version. So I ended up making, more of a trap remix to it, that, it kind of like put a different swing on it, more of the hard hip hop. When it came to a white girl, people were like, wow, all right, we didn't expect this kind of song. And most of the comments on the video became, this is better than the original, which is not what I intended, because I personally like the original too, but I just wanted to go for a different swing on it. And the VMAs hit, and people were searching like crazy apparently, because the next day I woke up and I watched it every hour go up 1 million hits. So it was kind of fun. Yeah.
This was when? This was in 2011?
Yeah, it was last May.
Okay, so this is before trap, obviously, really is what people think of it now, at least in terms of what open format DJs think of trap being right now. How do you feel about the trap movement that's going on at this moment?
I mean, it's kind of interesting to see it morph the way it is. Trap music back when it was in its first swing, really, with MMG and Meek Mill and all that stuff. They were getting into it in a very serious tone, and it wasn't, it was very hard rap, and it was like only a certain crew could really listen to it, only a certain audience. Now you start hearing it in the club, and it's like, okay, like there's Pitbull over a trap song now. What's going on? But people are really starting to dig it in a way that it's starting to become more commercial than it ever was. And that's owed to a lot of these big producers that are coming out pushing it. I mean, when dubstep was starting to introduce elements into their songs that became okay to play on the radio. Same thing is happening with trap now.
Well, that's one thing we were talking about. You said that kind of those rappers took trap real serious, when they first started doing it, like you mentioned, MMG. I know T.I. was big in the trap movement. Now it seems, I mean, this is kind of like almost a mashup kind of thing now with taking the house and bringing it to trap. And so, I mean, while we always talk about when is the house thing gonna kind of taper off, and is it gonna go back to how it was during the mashup days? But I mean, now that I think about it, this kind of is like a mashup thing, mixing the house with the hip hop. And as Solar said, he doesn't really consider it trap, or he doesn't want to call it trap. He just wants to call it hip hop remixes of trap songs. But
if I start hearing Calvin Harris start doing this kind of stuff, it's all over.
I think it probably will. Didn't Afrojack just released a song that's almost like trappish in a way?
Yeah.
It's like 68 BPM, maybe, I want to say.
I saw that. I know who's that? I think Riz told me that when he was at the expo in AC, he said that I think Chucky dropped like a half-hour trap set or something. So that's kind of crazy to me.
And it's something new and different and like you said, fun. I mean, it brings like almost like the fun Be More aspect that you used to have in the mashup days back to our current state, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from Mad Decent, I'm starting to work with DJ Sega, who has done a lot of crazy remixes of like Angry Birds and stuff like that. And their whole movement in Mad Decent is going with that trap EDM style. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Sega's known for his Be More, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he wants to kind of fuse his style with mine a little bit now too. So we're going to meet up pretty soon. You know, kind of bang out some new tracks.
Yeah, Be More and trap definitely have a lot in common, I see. So I think fusing the two together definitely makes a lot of sense.
What do you prefer doing in terms of remixing? Do you prefer to take a song and bring it down in BPM, or do you like doing the upbeat stuff?
For a while, I've been doing this upbeat, like 125, 130 BPM, just because I'm catering towards the radio. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I like doing for myself as well. But, you know, the songs that the artists need to push, like I just did one for Tricky Graham. And, you know, Snapbacks was solid on the radio for the hip-hop, but it really wasn't too poppy or too dancey. So they wanted to get it on more crossover stations. So I did it, I think it was like 128 BPM. It's funny because I'm kind of in an area right now where I go very, you know, hard with the EDM, BPM stuff. I want to pull it back a little bit and start doing some of the slower, just to kind of switch it up. Gives me like new creative, you know, juices flowing for it. But I usually shift back and forth.
Well, the remix you did of the J. Cole Workout, was that different working on something that was 93 BPM as opposed to either being like 70 or 125?
Yeah, I originally released it as a hip hop song, and it had the same elements as the official version does. But I actually presented both to Columbia, and they said, "All right, well, we really like the faster version. Can you slow it down a little bit?" Because at the time I had it at 125 BPM. It was just like, he almost sounded like a chipmunk. So I slowed it down. It was like, it ended up being like 110 or 115. And that's what stuck. Because, his vocals need to sound as natural as possible when sped up like that.
Yeah.
That's always a tricky thing when you're trying to do all these up-tempo remixes of like hip-hop songs, is some of them sound fine, which is amazing, and some of them sound absolutely horrible. And it's like, what makes this one sped up the same degree sound horrible when this one sounds fine? I don't know.
One thing that, I mean, whenever I work on stuff like that, is you also have to factor in, like, it's like you want to make it fast and you try to find the BPM as fast as possible where it still sounds good, but then you kind of have to factor in that DJs at the club are going to be speeding it up even more sometimes, and it's tough to know when to draw the line.
Yeah, I mean, if you make a remix that's 120 BPM because that's where you felt the vocal sat the best, and me as a DJ, I'm going to say, I'm not playing that at 120. There's pretty much maybe 5% of the time I would. So I'm just going to speed it right up to 128 anyway. Totally defeats the whole purpose of leaving it at 120 to begin with. So,
all right, so before we go into what you're working on and what you have in the future, let's talk about a couple of some newer news that we found this week. Not a whole lot to discuss, but we found a couple things.
Sure, not a whole lot, but yeah, I guess last Monday, probably while we were filming, Serato released new versions of Scratch Live, Itch, and Serato Video. The add FLAC support if you want that lossless audio playback that everybody's been asking for so long, and also Mountain Lion support for OS X. DJ Craze, I guess, was testing the new tractor mixer called the Control K2, and I don't even know if it's been announced officially yet, but he decided to post a picture on Instagram holding it to show it to everybody a little bit ahead of time. So DJWorks.com posted that picture up there. Definitely looks like an interesting piece of gear. Lots of buttons and controller features for a regular scratch mixer format. Yeah, Swedish House Mafia announced their tour dates for their one last tour all over the world. Definitely a lot of shows in the United States, and I think they're adding a few more. I heard that they're all sold out already, so look for black market tickets.
Don't You Worry Child, I think that's starting to get some crossover play on the radio now.
That's a great song.
I'm surprised. There's a lot of houses is crossing over these days. When I check the, are you familiar with the Cinernet charts?
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, those are the radio charts that we use to track songs, see how they're doing. And lately in the pop section, there's been a lot of songs that have crossed over. Like "Can't Stop Me Now" was getting some pop play. Zed's actually getting. I think there's a lot of programmers behind
Spectrum.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's been a few that have been getting play. I think the Swedish House Mafia, I think it's going to keep growing, that record.
I think so too, especially with, I mean, their tour isn't going to be hitting the United States until I think February, March. So there's a whole lot of time to build up until then. So I think it's just going to keep building. Speaking of play, there's a new blog called We All Hit Play. This is done by DJ Pizzo from out in Vegas. He's the creator of Hip Hop Site, which has been around since the mid-late 90s.
Yeah, I was surprised when I read the bio and kind of what's going on behind the site. I think that was like the first blog post was kind of the About Us, and I didn't realize what kind of role he had in bringing house music to Vegas and getting that whole movement started. Because when I think of Pizzo, I think about Hip Hop Site, and I don't think I've really talked to him directly. He's good friends with my friend Apathy, who is a rapper, and he was featured a lot on Hip Hop Site. And I think, I know Dave Fogg clarified this when we interviewed him, but I think Pizzo did have some kind of role with the Inhumans. And I'm not sure, I think I asked Dave Fogg, I'm not sure what he said, I forget, it was so long ago, it was like, 2 years ago almost.
Yeah.
But in terms of making the 9 Inch Nails 50 Cent in the Club mashup, I forget if Pizzo had a role.
I think he did. Yeah.
Did he?
I think so. Yeah. And yeah, so We All Hit Play. It's a house music blog. So basically the counterpoint to Hip Hop Site, and definitely looks like it could do pretty well. I mean, Pizzo was one of the resident DJs at XS for the last couple of years. I guess he's recently left, more to focus on this site and stuff. But
I definitely want to hear like how they went about bringing house to Vegas. I know he mentioned that people who knew him for hip hop, I guess, kind of thought it was crazy they were getting so into house, and now they've turned Vegas into pretty much the house. It's definitely the house capital of this country. Is that a fair statement? Do you think?
I would say so. Yeah. Also, the EDM Snob, who we've interviewed on here before and talked about a bunch of his articles. Unfortunately, it looks like the EDMSnob.com is no more. He has come clean about kind of who he is, and he posted his last post on the blog, so definitely go check that out and find out kind of the whole story behind the blog. It's only about, he started it back in June, I think, so it's not even that old. It's about 3 months old.
He was able to get a good following during that time.
It's already over. The ride is done.
So one thing I think we should discuss before we go is definitely what we talked about last week, the whole Gangnam Style thing. We got a few comments on that. And basically, I know there are a couple people who were kind of mad at what I said, that I actually haven't played it yet. And basically, I want to explain a little bit. It's kind of like, I know that if I did play the song, especially at my college night, because that was where I took the heat for not playing it at college night yet.
Should definitely play it.
Well, see, I know that they would like it. I'm not arguing that, but I just it is kind of silly to me.
As a crusader for fun music,
and I will say this: that
should be playing it.
I'm the person who always stuck by "Call Me Maybe," and I was always playing "Call Me Maybe" in the club. But I think there's a big difference between those two songs. And before I explain that, let me just say that as far as Gangnam Style goes, if I ever had an overwhelming amount of requests for it, I would definitely play it. If the club owner told me to play it, definitely play it. Like I wouldn't hesitate at all. I'm not like against it that much, but just in terms of actually taking the initiative to play it, like I look at "Call Me Maybe," and there's a lot of people who dislike that song. Mostly guys. Most girls love that song. And if you were to like ask people how they felt about it, do they think it's annoying, silly? I think more people consider it on the annoying side than actually a really, really silly song. Whereas I think if you gave people the same survey about Gangnam Style, and I do call it Gangnam because someone was mad that I kept calling it Gangman Style last week, I think people would be more on the side that it is a silly song, I think. And that's kind of why I stay away from it.
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a silly song.
But have you guys ever seen the music video for it?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely silly.
They take it to a whole different level.
I saw someone post a blog post actually that said, watch it without the sound on, and it looks even more silly.
I mean, would you ever play Weird Al in the club? I mean, that's almost how I look at it in a way. And
I've played Weird Al before.
I have played
years and years ago, but yeah.
I have played "I'm on a Boat." I played that during college night a lot. It's hard for me to describe the difference. It's
indescribable. There is no difference.
No, there definitely is a difference between Gangnam Style and
I'm on a Boat.
Yeah, I think there is.
Maybe you should make a mashup. Call me Gangnam.
Call me Gangnam. I'm sure that would work. So I actually, you know what? I did mean to try it last Thursday when I was at my college spot, and it slipped my mind just because I'm not used to playing it. I don't know. Maybe I will give it a try this Thursday, but
I would love to hear the report back on that.
Seriously, as DJs, we all have an image that we want, and this kind of, obviously, I'm not Calvin Harris. I'm not pretending to be Calvin Harris, but we know what happened with Calvin Harris not playing "Call Me Maybe" that time. Did you ever hear that story about that he refused to play "Call Me Maybe"
at Tryst?
At Tryst, and it was kind of a big deal for a while.
Really?
So I know no one cares.
Like all the 16-year-olds.
I think there was some bottle service. There were some girls in VIP that weren't too happy with him.
So he ended up stopping DJing and walking out. But
yeah.
Oh my god.
So I understand I'm not Calvin Harris and my image isn't as important as Calvin Harris's, but at the same time I do kind of, I don't know.
You're a DJ that wants to play fun music but have a serious image.
Yes, correct. However much sense that makes.
You gotta stand for something.
That's where I draw the line. Is that Gangnam Style? I still play "Party in the USA" sometimes. Yeah, but anyway, I think that's really all we have for the discussion part today. We want to see if is there anything. I know you mentioned you were working on stuff for Silver Medallion and also Clinton Sparks. Is that your main focus right now? Those remixes.
Cataluna is another one. The "Wanna See You Dance" song. I did a remix of "Drop It Low," a while back, and I ended up meeting up with one of the producers from her album, who is starting to foster an indie artist. That his name's Josh, but it's spelled Jash. He's very pop, but I'm going to work on a remix for his official EP coming up. I'm also doing the official anthem for the Philadelphia 76ers. Producing that with, they're getting a hip hop artist on it right now. I have no idea who they're working with, but and the other thing is I signed a recent publishing contract for TV and commercial networks through Viacom. So, you should hear some of my instrumentals and stuff on maybe the Kardashians. We'll see.
That's awesome.
I know you said that Beat Street was kind of the DJ who kind of pushes your stuff in terms of playing in clubs, but what are you going to do when you start getting offers? I mean, I'm sure you do get offers now, but do you ever have any thoughts about getting back into it?
Yeah, I have. I've started messing around at smaller venues, like a couple places, like local places around me. But it's usually it's for like smaller crowds of like 60 or so people. So I'm messing with it. It's like riding a bike. You always know how to do it. You just get rusty a little bit.
What's your gear of choice when you are DJing?
What's my what?
What's your gear of choice when you are DJing?
I mean, being that my buddy that I was using his stuff, he uses, it's like the Newmark, it's the new ones, the NS, I forget it, or 6 or
NS7 or 6 or something.
Yeah, and he uses Serato itch with that, so I've been accustomed to that. But Beat Street won't even let me touch his stuff, so we'll see.
So
I get my hands on his,
yeah,
maybe.
Could you tell us a little bit about like what your studio is made up of, like kind of what software maybe you're using and controllers, things like that?
Yeah, I'm using Logic 9 as my main DAW. Believe it or not, most of my sounds are stock. I just studied so much in compression and reverb and things like that, and how to spatially correct everything.
Where should our viewers go for tutorials? Is there something that you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, Logic Pro Help is a great forum for it. Honestly, tutorials I've just learned through YouTube. You just search for the type of effect you want for, auto filters, or, you want to get that crazy guitar-esque, like, grunge sound that they have in Justice songs. You can go there. And then you just incorporate it into your song, but then make it your own. Obviously, you don't want to sound like a copycat, but you can definitely absorb ideas from strictly YouTube.
Okay.
I mean, I use certain things when I record the vocals. Obviously Auto-Tune, Melodyne. I have KRK Rocket 5s as my studio monitors. I use my AKG K240 headphones. And then I have all my MIDI instrumental stuff, like my MPD or Akai drum pad and things like that. So.
Very nice, very nice. Did you download Logic 9 from the App Store, or did you get the box version?
I had the box version, and then I got it upgraded through the App Store. So
now, tell me this: does the App Store version come with Wave Burner?
I don't believe it does. I mean, I already had it on my computer beforehand, so that's using it to master. That's all I use, but. I don't think it does. I think they like scaled down a lot of stuff because you think about it, like the App Store has it for it's like
it's $200, something like that.
Yeah, but it came with 7 discs originally.
Yeah,
back when the box set came out. So no, I don't think they can scrunch everything into the 2.5 gig file that they give you.
That's too bad. I love Wave Burner. I just upgraded, like redid my laptop last week, so I was like reinstalling everything and reinstalled. I didn't actually put Logic back on. I just put Wave Burner alone back on because I haven't really used Logic in a while. But I've been debating whether to download the App Store version or not, and was trying to do some research, find out if it came with Wave Burner or not. And yeah, everywhere it seems like it doesn't, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I know.
It's a great tool. Great tool.
Fake out things, yeah.
I guess CDs are really dead.
Yeah.
I guess. Go
Well,
figure.
anyway, thanks for joining us today. I know we'll definitely talk to you in the future, and I'm sure everyone's going to watch the tutorial video again. We're going to post that right below. And
You have plans to do more tutorial videos like that?
Yeah. It's going so well. I'm definitely gonna, start showing some original instrumentals, and then some of my newer remixes that I'm coming out with. I'm already starting to cut them up in video.
maybe we should do like a tutorial of the week kind of thing, and we'll definitely post them on this site when you get them done. I know our friend Johnny Mac has also done some good ones, and Tommy Diz is going to do some for us too. So I think that would be a good idea. People are always asking us.
People love those tutorials. Definitely good to see how other people go about the process. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll definitely talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right, see ya.
All right, take care.
Remixreport.com